In one voice, the world declared, human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights.
Women are not even accepted as human beings. They are treated with injustice and inequality. Women are denied. They are neglected, even in the developed countries.
Islam oppresses women. How many times have you heard this statement? But what if I told you that this is a profound misconception? In fact, the truth about women in Islam is far more empowering than you might think. Today, we're going to dive deep into Islamic teachings, examining the Quran, Hadiths, and the lives of some incredible Muslim women to discover what Islam really says about women. Many people believe that Islam treats women as inferior to men. But is this really what the Quran and the teachings of Prophet Muhammad say? Let's start by looking at the Quran itself. In Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah says,
يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير.
O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female, and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. This verse tells us something incredible, that men and women are equal in the eyes of God. Our value isn't determined by our gender, but by our righteousness, by how we live our lives. Let's travel back 1 through 400 years, to a time when women were treated as property, denied the most basic rights. Then came Islam, introducing a revolutionary framework for women's rights. These were rights that were unimaginable at the time. Take education, for example. The Prophet Muhammad said, "Seeking knowledge is obligatory upon every Muslim." Notice that. He said every Muslim, not just men, but women too. This was a radical idea back then. Women were encouraged to learn, to grow, to contribute their knowledge to society. And they did. Take Aisha bint Abu Bakr, one of the Prophet's wives. She wasn't just a scholar, she was a towering figure of knowledge, narrating over 2,000 hadiths and guiding the early Muslim community. Imagine that, a woman teaching some of the greatest men of her time. Now let's talk about financial independence. In many societies before Islam, women couldn't own property. They were completely dependent on men. But Islam changed that. In Surah An-Nisa, the Quran states,
ولا تتمنوا ما فضل الله به بعضكم على بعض للرجال نصيب مما اكتسبوا وللنساء نصيب مما اكتسبن واسألوا الله من فضله إن الله كان بكل شيء عليما.
For men is a share of what they have earned, and for women is a share of what they have earned. This verse was groundbreaking. It granted women the right to own, inherit, and manage their own property. Women could now be economically independent, contributing to business, trade, and society at large. Khadija bint al-Khuwaylid, the Prophet's first wife, was a successful businesswoman whose wealth and influence were instrumental in the early days of Islam. Imagine the impact that had on the society of the time. What about marriage? Surely, in such a patriarchal world, women had no say, right? Wrong. The Prophet Muhammad made it clear, a woman cannot be married without a guardian, and a marriage is invalid without witnesses. This hadith is crucial. It emphasizes the necessity of a woman's consent in marriage. She cannot be forced into a marriage against her will, and if the marriage becomes unbearable, Islam allows her to seek divorce, ensuring her rights and dignity are preserved. The Quran says,
وإن خفتم شقاق بينهما فابعثوا حكما من أهله وحكما من أهلها إن يريدا إصلاحا يوفق الله بينهما إن الله كان عليما خبيرا.
And if you fear dissension between the two, send an arbitrator from his people and an arbitrator from her people. If they both desire reconciliation, Allah will cause it between them. Indeed, Allah is ever knowing and acquainted with all things. This verse shows that Islam seeks fairness in resolving marital disputes, always with the well-being of the woman in mind. Islam doesn't just talk about rights, it talks about spiritual equality. The Quran is very clear.
من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة ولنجزينهم أجرهم بأحسن ما كانوا يعملون.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter, according to the best of what they used to do. Men and women are equally capable of achieving spiritual success. Women are encouraged to pray, to fast, to give charity, just like men. They're also encouraged to play active roles in society, as teachers, scholars, and leaders. Look at Aisha bint Abu Bakr again. She wasn't just involved, she was leading the way in religious scholarship. So, if Islam grants so many rights to women, why do we see so much oppression in the name of Islam today? The answer lies in cultural practices, not religious teachings. Many oppressive customs, like forced marriages or so-called honor killings, have nothing to do with Islam. They're cultural practices that existed long before Islam and continue in some societies despite Islamic teachings, not because of them. It's crucial to separate Islam from these cultural practices. Islam came to end these injustices, not to perpetuate them. Let's not forget the incredible legacy of Muslim women throughout history. Women like Khadija bint al-Khuwaylid, Aisha bint Abu Bakr, Fatima bint Muhammad, and Zainab bint Ali have shaped Islamic history in profound ways. Khadija was a successful businesswoman and the first person to accept Islam. Aisha was a scholar whose teachings still influence Islamic thought today. Fatima is remembered for her piety and strength, and Zainab's leadership during the tragic events of Karbala has made her a symbol of resilience and courage. These women weren't oppressed, they were empowered by their faith, playing pivotal roles in the development of Islam and its teachings. So, does Islam oppress women? The evidence we've explored today suggests otherwise. Islam grants women rights that were revolutionary for their time and remain powerful today. It's not Islam that oppresses women, it's the misapplication of its teachings. Let's remember the words of the Prophet Muhammad. The best of you are those who are best to their wives. Islam is a religion that upholds the dignity, rights, and equality of women. So the next time you hear someone say that Islam oppresses women, ask them to look deeper, to the Quran, to the Hadiths, and to the incredible women who have shaped Islamic history. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights into Islam. Let's continue to explore, learn, and challenge the misconceptions together.